And my Jolly Ranchers. Things get really bad, you throw in a Jolly Rancher. They feel a little bit better for a minute. Not a long minute, but for a minute. This is all the people who are registered. You can see the ones who already have points. They've already done something, so they've done stuff already today, all over the country. So it's cool because you know you're not alone, right? You've got a whole group of people. I've been asked about 500 times why I love running or what I love about running, and I enjoy answering every time. I don't enjoy running, and I never have. Running has been a part of my life since I was very young. I ran my first track meet when I was, I think, in 4th or 5th grade. So it's always been a part of my life, but it's never been something that I've enjoyed. You know, I like a lot of things that come along with running, but yeah, I'm the worst guy in the world to try to do 22 marathons. I don't even like running. I'm not even a big fan of walking, to be honest with you, but I continue. So no, I don't love running, but I'm gonna do a lot of it.
Imagine running 22 marathons in just 22 days. That is about 26 miles each day for a total of 576 miles.
And joining me now is Jeremy Stalnecker, who is doing a 22 marathons, which is totally mind-blowing, a 22 for 22 challenge for Veterans Day.
I'm talking Jeremy Stalnecker. So you are doing something amazing to celebrate Veterans Day and to draw attention to the fact that 22 veterans every day kill themselves, take their lives. Folks, we're not making that up. Try to process that.
I initially signed to the Marine Corps when I was 16 years old. It's funny, I had been dating my now wife for a good year, and I told my girlfriend at the time that I wanted to join the Army, and she looked at me and she's like, "You're not joining the Army." She's like, "If you join anything, you need to join the Marine Corps." And being a young boy with a cute girl, I was just like, okay, I'm joining the Marine Corps.
I was actually in college at the time. I was thinking about being a police officer, and then I thought, well, I'm gonna be pretty young when I graduate, and you had to be 21. I was in college at 18, so I decided, go through the military, do that for 3 or 4 years, and then come back out, and then go through the police academy.
Many people told me I was crazy for joining the military, and that was the feel from the community and the culture that I came from. But what I knew is that I wanted more than where I came from and more than what I had. Young people don't walk up to their parents or their teachers and say, hey, give me some of that discipline and structure. But they also don't know just how bad they need that discipline and structure.
So the recruiters called me. Basically, they said, well, if you like hikes in the woods, we've got the thing for you. Here's the U.S. Army Infantry.
So I grew up in the backwoods, so I love being outside. It was natural. We always played armies out in the yard, me and my brothers. And so naturally, I gravitated to being an infantry guy. And so I was like, this is awesome. I get paid to be the guy on TV.
So I was raised in a very conservative home, and my dad was a pastor. And one of the things he taught my sister and I was that we should love our country. We should always be the type of people who want to serve our community and serve others and stand up for what's right and do the right thing. When I was a teenager, I went to my dad and said, hey, how would you feel about me going to the military someday and going into the Marine Corps? Was very supportive, he and my mom both. And Very grateful to have served as a second lieutenant in the United States Marine Corps. I was commissioned out of college. My wife and I were actually married our last year of college so that we could kind of start that journey together. And it was an amazing time. My whole life had been pointed toward that. And so finally being commissioned and serving with Marines, I'll never forget standing in front of my platoon for the very first time. I was like overwhelmed and I didn't know what to say. And so I didn't say anything. And it was one of those, I was kind of embarrassed, but I was just so overwhelmed with the fact that I was doing what I had really planned most of my life to do. As time went on, obviously 9/11 happened and the world changed. I went from serving in a peacetime Marine Corps to the war in Iraq started. We got ready to go to Kuwait, which we did in January of 2003.
From CBS News, here is Dan Rather.
U.S. warships and planes launched the opening salvo of Operation Iraqi Freedom.
We started having difficult conversations. What happens if you don't come back? What happens to me and the kids? What do we do? And conversations that I never thought we would have to have.
We had 2 small children. When I deployed to Kuwait, my wife actually took our kids and moved in with her parents so she'd be around people who could support her. But it was 2003. I talked to my wife probably for a total of 5 minutes during that entire deployment.
I had pictures of him and them together, and so we would talk about him all the time, and there's always that thought in the back of your mind, like, what if this is just all they ever know of him, and they just only ever see him in pictures?
But looking back, I have the ability to introspectively ask, I wonder what they were feeling. My wife, so first KIA of the war, first Marine killed in Iraq was a Lieutenant Shane Childers. He was part of our battalion. We were right there together when he was shot and killed. And the news reported that a Marine lieutenant died crossing the border. And it breaks my heart because I didn't think about it at the time, right? Like I didn't think about what's my wife going through? What does my wife think about this? She talked about how it was like 3 days before anyone knew who that was. Not that it was less because of who it was, but it could have been me. She had no idea and no way to know. So much confusion, so much chaos, and very little information coming back. So all they could do was sit and watch.
Well, the word on the street right now is in the next 4 or 5 hours, we're going to be crossing the line of departure. All right, and I wouldn't kid you about that. We're ready for it. We trained hard. We're ready to go. A couple things I want you to understand. First of all, think about why you joined the Marine Corps. All right? We all joined for different reasons. But I think the bottom line is we all joined to be a part of something bigger than ourselves. We joined to do something that was going to make a difference. And when we cross that line of departure, we're going to make history. I mean, we are. No matter what happens after that, we're making history.
We were the first Marine Infantry Battalion into the country and then would make our way to Baghdad. I was a first lieutenant at that time. I had a platoon we called the counter-mechanized platoon, and our job was to provide security for the rest of our battalion, about 1,200 Marines. We started to make our way toward the border, eventually breached the berm in the middle of the night and pressed into southern Iraq. And then would make our way to Baghdad. Such a surreal moment. When you're an infantry Marine, you train so that you can eventually go to war and do what you've trained to do. And we trained for a lot of years to get ready for something like that, and we were doing it. And we're supposed to meet little, if any, resistance, and it ended up being a 12-hour firefight to get into the palace. And again, that sounds strange to say, but it wasn't feeling good. It was very much feeling fulfilled, though. It's crazy, a lot is said right now about teenagers and young people and whatever generation we're on. But I was there as a 25-year-old platoon commander with 18-year-old Marines in probably the worst environment you can find yourself in, and they performed incredibly well.
My job was an addiction that I had to feed. And as soon as I got back from a deployment, I was so happy to be alive, but I was already looking for the next fix. The feeling that you get from an infantry squad or an infantry platoon or company being the guy that does what they need to have done, it's a drug like any other drug. It gets in your blood, and no matter how far removed you are from it, you hate it, but you love it. It's a double-edged sword.
Every deployment was like, let's do more, let's do more. let's do more. It was amazing. I loved it. I like to say that I would still be doing it today if it were just up to me, even though it was probably detrimental to my health.
You kind of became disconnected, you know, because every time you go to a combat deployment, you're thinking there's a good chance I'm not going to come back. And you kind of wall up a little bit and just kind of accept the fact that you might not ever come home and see your family. And so that's something that even to this day, that's always in the back of my mind, you know, that the possibility of dying and what's around the corner and what's next, and always just thinking something's going to happen.
I remember my first deployment into Baghdad, and that very first night we got hit with 17 mortar rounds. And that was my welcome to the combat zone. I was in the shower at the time and crawling under the sinks to try to find cover so that nothing would happen. You don't come back from war the same as you went. War changes you. It just does.
This is the picture that I've talked about a lot that really represents so much to me. This is my platoon in Baghdad. When I look at this picture, this just represents so many different things to me. You know, the rubble, it represents the war and all of the things that we did leading up to that. When we got into the palace and all of that fighting stopped, essentially the combat part of my time in Iraq was over. You know, all of these guys that I served with meant so much to me at that time. This picture, it's become kind of iconic. It's in a lot of places, and just because of the way that it was taken, you can find it in a lot of places. But to me, it's very, very personal. I haven't thought of this in a long time, but I was at an event, and this was probably 2 years after we came back from Iraq. And one of the Marines I served with was there, and his parents were there. And I remember his mom walking up to me crying, saying, "Thank you so much for bringing my son home safe." And so that was something that I was always so thankful for. And it's nice out here today. I ran out here a couple weeks ago. It was almost 100. I thought I was gonna die. So this is Diamond Valley Lake. It's a huge reservoir, and I've done a lot of training out here. It's a 22-mile loop around the lake. This is in the town of Hemet, California, which is where I grew up. So it's kind of crazy to be back here as an adult, and it's such a beautiful place to run, and it's been really good to me. I've really enjoyed coming out here. I feel physically prepared to do this. The bigger challenge, I think, at least for me, is going to be the mental aspect of it. Not only are they long days, but it's day after day after day after day of doing that, getting up every day and doing that. If it was something that was simple or easy, then it wouldn't be worth doing. The fact that every hour of every day, at least one person who served our country in uniform ends their life because they don't know where to go, that should be overwhelming. And that's what this represents to me is it big? Of course it is, but I need to get up every day and make a decision to do the hard thing. And the hard thing is to get out the door and take the first step. That won't end until I get 26.2 miles down the road, or whatever that looks like, but make the hard decision. And that's what we're asking other people to do. That's what I'm asking other people to do. If you're the one struggling, but make the hard decision. Take the next step, and you're gonna get to where you need to be. If you're not the one struggling, well, you need to do the hard thing and take the next step and help people who need help. You have to make a decision, but as you make the decision, other people will come around you, and other people will support you. And it becomes something that you don't have to do alone. If I can represent that really for a very short period of time, then I'm happy to do it. In order for us to address this major issue, it needs to be a community concern. It needs to be something that other people get involved with. And we set up a virtual platform and asked other people to register. You can pick your event. You don't have to do a marathon. You can do a mile a day or something else, but do something. And then reach into your community of people, your friends, your family members, and ask them to support what you're doing. The hope is that it will be a rallying point for a lot of people to understand this is nuts. We've got to do something about it, and then offering a way for people to get involved. My wife and I, we made the decision together to leave the Marine Corps. It was a very hard decision to make. I legitimately felt like I did what I came here to do. I was thankful to have been a part of it, brought the Marines home that I was responsible for, and I could now just move on. And I was working on a church staff at my home church in Oceanside, California. And somewhere between putting my uniform away for the last time and going to work at the church, I lost myself.
The first few years after he came back was one of the most difficult times in our marriage. I didn't know what to do with him. I didn't know what he was going through, and I knew he was having a hard time, but we just kind of started living like our own lives, like separate lives.
My identity was so wrapped up in what I did in the Marine Corps, who I was in the Marine Corps, that when I stopped doing that, I started to have a really hard time. And 7 months after we came home from Iraq, the Marines that stayed in, that I had been in Iraq with, went back and were in the first Battle of Fallujah. And that was a very, very difficult thing for me to get a hold of. I remember, sitting with some people that I was close to, and we were having a meeting, and I had just heard that a couple of the Marines that were in my platoon had been killed in Fallujah, and I just heard that, and I was trying to express that, and everybody was like, "Oh man, that's terrible." And then it was like next agenda item in this meeting. It's like, we're just moving on. And I had such a hard time not being a part of it, and such a hard time not being there with those guys. And that turned into frustration, and over a period of time, the frustration became anger. And that anger meant that I was screaming at my wife and kids. I was throwing things, knocking things over, and I was a complete disaster at home.
There were times that I would get really nervous because he would not come home till really late sometimes. You always have the thoughts of what if he takes his life? What if, I don't really know what he's going through. He won't even really talk about it. And he was kind of shutting everyone out. I do personally believe that he was dealing with some post-traumatic stress.
For a lot of years, if someone asked me if PTSD, post-traumatic stress, was real, I would categorically say no. There are weak people who deal with things in a bad way, but I denied it, and because of that, I hurt a lot of people along the way. Most importantly, my family. The fact that my wife and I were able to stay together through that, a testament to her, not to me, certainly. All right, see you guys later. Have a good day at school. All right, love you. Have a good day at school.
Good day.
Okay, good. See ya. Have a good practice, too. A Marine that I'd served with reached out to me and said, "Hey, I met this guy, Chad, and he's starting this program. And he asked me if I could get some of our Marines from the platoon to come back together and go through this program that he's establishing. Would you be interested in coming to this?" And I said, "Yeah, I would." I hadn't talked to any of those guys in 10 years. And I found myself in Colorado, sitting with a group of those guys I had served with, hearing stories of suicide, hearing stories of broken marriages, broken relationships, lives in a shambles. I struggled with all of these things. I struggled with these thoughts of, my wife would be better off if something happened to me. My family would be better off if I wasn't a part of this. But I didn't really know that other people struggled with it until I sat there and talked to those Marines. I was able to understand that I was responsible, not the rest of the world, that I was out of control and needed to start to move forward in a positive way. That was such a pivotal moment in my life when I realized that I have so much more to offer, but beyond that, I have an obligation to do everything I can to serve the men and women who have served us in uniform, many of whom I served with, and help them to get back on their feet and continue to move forward. That changed everything for me, changed my entire life. Definitely was the moment where I realized, people are doing something about this, but I need to do everything I can to get involved in this. Get involved in putting a stop to the suicide and the brokenness. And then going through that week and talking to Chad, and Chad was building Mighty Oaks and trying to figure out what the pieces looked like to keep this thing moving forward. And
I came home from 8th deployment in Afghanistan and dealt with the same things we help warriors with. I dealt with panic attacks, anxiety, depression, and we see so many guys struggle with, and that sent me down a pretty dark path. Chaos in my home and tyrants in my family, and just not knowing how to deal with my frustration. Ended with me almost becoming another veteran suicide statistic and an attempt to take my life in 2010. And that's when I met you and you came aboard and helped build this thing.
Then it was this shared mission. And so when Chad said, hey, I'm really trying to put this together and trying to get this moving, would you help? Would you come alongside? I don't know what that looks like, but would you help? The only answer I could give was yes. I think for what we're doing, this is a really apropos place to be. If you know the stories of Marines and one corpsman that are in this picture, and a lot has been written about them, they became kind of the iconic symbol of World War II. But if you know all of their stories, each one of them came home and struggled severely after this. These American heroes that we hold up and look to, and they had so many struggles when they came home. And really that's what we're talking about, right? That's why we're doing what we're doing. We forget the absolute sacrifice that has been paid, not just in Iwo Jima, but in so many other places, by American men and women. And when we think about veteran suicide, when we think about these men and women who have given so much, sacrificed so much, done so much for us, and then come home and found their lives hopeless and empty and broken, and deciding that the best thing they could do is end their lives, it's tragedy upon tragedy. So it's crazy to see a war that I was in on that, right? Iraq 2003. So that's the war I was in. And I remember coming here as a kid. This is just a complete aside, but I remember coming here as a kid and like, I don't know, it's really humbling and really, really honored by all these people. And then you see the conflict that you're involved in. It's pretty crazy. In a sense, you feel like you don't belong. That's the first time I've seen that up there.
Runners, on your mark, get set, move! The 48th running of the Marine Corps Marathon has begun. Mission executed. Over 23,000 runners have been launched.
Jeremy is far removed from his Marine Corps service, but once it gets in your blood, it's in your blood. You can't get rid of it. And he was talking to me early this morning, and I believe you guys were interviewing him by the memorial. And when he read the words Iraqi freedom on that memorial, he told me that it just all came together for him, and he almost broke down just reading those words. I think this is going to be one of the more special days out of the 22 for him. Plus, it's one of the biggest marathons in America.
the emotional part is kind of being overwhelmed with kind of the enormity of everything. Then I always have these moments of gratitude too, where I'm really thankful, like, man, I get to do this. There aren't very many people that get to do this because of time, because of opportunity, because just physically. And I'm really privileged to be able to do this. There are a lot of challenges that veterans face or military members face, and they're not the same for every person. If they have a great support system around them and they've processed things well, they'll do fine. Others, and this is what I dealt with a lot, really struggle with identity. And at a very core level is so wrapped up in their military service or their rank, whatever happened while they were serving in the military or some event or maybe the trauma that they experienced, that when they separate from that, the bottom falls out.
I think we can narrow it down to two feelings, two emotions that are allowed in the military is anger to whatever level you need, or the other emotion would be nothing, absolute nothing. You take those two things and they did help me survive through combat, right? And so even though that might sound like a little knock on the military, it's also saved my life. And so that should not be dishonored. And so you can imagine the soldier that comes home, he has those two skills, nothing and anger, and people start treating him a little weird, a little different, and push him off, push him a little bit farther back, right? That's where the trauma grows. It grows in the isolation. It grows in the places that aren't talked about, in the hidden places, in the dark places.
To someone who hasn't been there, like, how do you explain when you're walking in the store, or walking in a mall, and you see someone that, quite honestly, just looks suspicious, and it triggers you because we were so on edge and so on alert while we were in country, and then you're just supposed to turn it off when you come home. It's not easy.
Sometimes it's hard to vocalize, and sometimes it's just that it's like embarrassed that I couldn't handle it on my own, like ashamed. Like, again, because I used to be this strong, confident, independent woman, who's made it this long in the Army and has done all these amazing things. But so I should be tougher than this. Like, I should be stronger than this.
The worst outcome is getting to that place where there is so little hope that life could ever get better, that there's purpose or meaning or value beyond what I feel right now. That my trauma of the past, or these issues that have arisen in my past, or these relationships that I've destroyed, that they're so overwhelming, there's nothing for me in the future. And then that thought places a seed in the brain that grows into this, I must end my life. That's the only way out.
I've been to the point where I didn't care if I lived or died. I didn't care if I woke up the next morning, and I would sometimes be like, man, I'm sick of dealing with this chronic pain, that anger that I just couldn't pinpoint, the guilt, survivor's guilt it's a real thing.
Anybody who's been in as long as I have knows at least one other person who made the choice to take their own life and followed through with it.
The last attempt was, I had my personal weapon, right? And stuck it to my head, and here goes.
And for me, man, I found myself dark and the pain inside, sitting on my bed, holding my Glock, thinking, man, this might be the only way out. For me, I couldn't do that. I couldn't go out that way with my boys knowing their dad took their life. So my thought was like, I'll die at some point. I've been through combat, I've made it. I've been through a couple shootings, I've made it, but at some point, my luck is gonna run out.
I would hold my gun in my hand, and I would try to work up the courage to shoot myself. I wanted the pain to stop. I didn't know how else to make it stop. I did it a few times, put it to my head a few times on the way home, and I just couldn't do it.
And I think about suicide now, I think it is our brain's last attempt at trying to creatively protest the issues that it's under, unknowing that it's going to instantly end the thing that it's trying to preserve, you know? But I'm here today, and things can change.
Thank you. I just need to change this. Can I give you this?
Yep.
Thank you for coming over. I'm 18 miles.
18 miles. All right.
So, yeah, almost there. Almost there. I could have made it without water, but.
I was at home, so.
Thank you.
Good.
I appreciate it.
Let me know if you need anything.
All right, I'll see you in a little bit.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
All right.
All right.
When it comes to addressing these issues, there isn't a one-size-fits-all. And I think that's one of the challenges people have had is why can't we find the answer to the problem? What we understand, though, is that when we're talking about trauma and when we're talking about these wounds that are really more soul wounds than anything else, there has to be a soul-level answer to address these issues. And what we've had the opportunity to do at Mighty Oaks is to say, look, medication can be helpful in its right place. These other therapies can be helpful in the right place, but unless you establish the right foundation first, a spiritual foundation, a foundation that recognizes you were created with purpose, and understanding that then gives you hope, that's when you can really start to rebuild a life. That's when healing takes place. This is the best part of the run. I spent many hours in this chair just recovering, sweating, recovering. It's nice running a little bit closer to home because it started to get hot pretty quick and I was just about out of water. I was probably okay, but I was close enough. I just called my daughter and said, hey, can you come meet me at the park, bring me some water? And she did, so that was pretty awesome. It's cool to have the family around, and I don't think they want me to die, which is pretty nice. So they're willing to contribute to my living longer. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, you guys all doing the challenge to help your dad? Yeah, let's talk about it. What are you doing for the challenge, Molly? For the 22 for 22 challenge?
I don't know, we'll have to talk about that.
We're supposed to have already talked about it.
Oh,
Talk about it right now.
What are you doing, Maggie?
I don't know yet.
See, these are my kids.
She's studying for 22 days.
My kids aren't very supportive of the veterans.
I've been doing the running for a little while, the 100-miler last year. A lot of like 30-milers, things like that, so. I think I'm proud of him, but I think it's for a good cause too. So I feel like you just keep getting crazier and crazier. So it was reaching this point.
You're talking about doing another 100 miles.
Yes.
It's reaching this point.
It was reaching some kind of point like this.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Do you have friends at school that know this is going on? Anybody following it?
Yes.
Well, I have one friend who is, yeah. So I showed him my dad's Instagram, and so I explained the whole thing to him in school. But
What did he say?
he said he thought it was cool.
I want to be the cool dad. This is hard, but I'll do it if that makes me the cool dad. I'm always the cool dad. What are you talking about? Right, Molly?
All the time.
Yeah.
We are at the Band of Runners Trail Camp in Leakey, Texas. Band of Runners for me is about building and maintaining a community of your people. And by your people, I mean people that can understand your experiences because they've been there and they've done that. I've been in the Army for 18 and a half years, and I've had my own experiences and struggles and challenges and successes. I come to camp to be re-energized by those people that are my people. There is something very comforting in being able to talk to somebody else that understands.
We're so happy that you all have made it here. We have been waiting a year for you. And you should know that we have a special person here. Well, we have a lot of special people. One of the special people who is here with us is Jeremy here. And Jeremy has been, what day is this, Jeremy?
This is day 20.
This is day 20. For the past 19 days, Jeremy has been running a marathon every day. And so today he's 15 miles in?
15 miles in.
15 miles in. So you can probably take him on this next run. And so he'll be with us today. and tomorrow. And so I talked to him about why he's doing this thing.
This is the downhill rock scramble.
Okay.
This is what we're running. This is what we're marking.
Awesome.
There's plenty of other trails out here if you get sick of that and you want to do other stuff.
Okay.
Anyway.
All right. If I get lost out there,
Yeah, just call me.
Find
My
my way.
phone doesn't work here.
I'll give you a call. Drove through a river to get out here. No communication with the outside world. No social media posting, but it's probably good. It's a beautiful place. It's a lot better than what I've been doing, which is running around in cities. I'm happy to get out of the city. I ran around a mall parking lot 2 days in a row. Yeah, I did 52 miles in a mall parking lot. Yeah, so I'm happy to do this, not that.
Running has been like the vehicle or the thing that has allowed me to explore and kind of like find my own way outside of the military. It's allowed me to, you know, experience all these different things in life.
All right. Yeah, day 21. We're almost done. It's pretty exciting. It's dark and cold, but it doesn't matter, and I don't really care because we're done tomorrow. Honestly, I was thinking just how grateful I am. There are 1,000 things that could go wrong with something like this, and particularly traveling around as much as I have. You know, I've been sore and I've had injuries I've had to deal with and different things I've had to work through, but no twisted ankles or knees or broken bones. Didn't get hit by a car. I mean, there's so many things that could have gone wrong, and then I've just stayed healthy. I haven't gotten sick at all. So any of those things, if it wasn't bad enough, we still could have pushed through it, but it would have made it so much more difficult. So very grateful for that. And then just the travel. So many moving parts over 3 weeks. 7 different cities, 5 states, and everything's been smooth. Haven't missed a flight. Everything's been great. Honestly, I'm just very grateful that we've gotten through all of this. With all of the complications, it's been a pretty smooth move. Finished day 21. So even if something crazy happens between now and tomorrow, we got 21 of them done. So pretty happy. Yeah, it was awesome.
Nice to meet you too, man. You take care of yourself.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself. Hopefully we'll see you soon.
Tomorrow is going to be the final run, and it's going to require getting 26.2 miles in, but it's going to be kind of a celebration and big family event. A lot of kids are going to be out there and families, and it's going to be great.
What's up, guys? How you doing? Good to see you. How you doing, man? Good to see you.
How are you? Congratulations, because you made it today.
Well, we're not done yet. I mean, I could fall down or get hurt or something. You never know. Can I get a shirt? If I don't get anything else out of all these runs, I should at least get a shirt.
There it is. All this.
Nice.
All this.
That's why I did it.
Boom.
I did it all for
That's
the
it.
shirt.
Just for the shirt.
Thank you. Maggie, good to see you. Can you hold my bag?
I can hold your bag, yeah.
Joy, how you doing?
Holding mine too.
Good to
Good.
see you.
Hold all the bags.
I think we all have the same number, so.
Read about him in the paper, and it was very inspiring, so we decided to come out.
Hey, we're going to have a 5K, a 10K, and a marathon. So if you're running the marathon, can you raise your hand so we can single you out? All right. This guy, this is his 22nd marathon in 22 consecutive days. So give him some slack.
All right, hey, thank you all for being out here. I don't have a lot to say other than I really appreciate it. The support over the last 3 weeks has been incredible. And someone was asking me, about social media posts and texts and people coming up and just saying, hey, good job or whatever. That means so much to me. And then to see you guys out here is absolutely incredible. And we all understand what we're doing this for. It's not just a run. There's a huge problem, and we want to address that problem, and we have the opportunity to do that. It's a community effort, it's a collective, and really that's what today represents to me. And this is day 22, but it doesn't feel like the other 21 days, I promise. I'm just so stoked to be out here with you guys, and really looking forward to running really, really slow for 26 miles. So if you want to win, hey, good luck, you can win. I'll be in the back somewhere, but thanks for being out here. Good to see the kids out here, and really stoked to have a good day, so thank you.
Ready? Runners to your mark.
The ultimate outcome I would hope for from this is people who are not currently aware of this issue of veteran suicide would become aware of it, and people who have never been involved in solving that problem would get involved. It's not that complicated. I just want people to know there's a problem, but to also know there's a solution to the problem and that they can be a part of it. One thing I understand is we'll never address this issue alone or in isolation. I think all of us have a responsibility to understand that men and women who have served us in uniform need our help and need us to engage with them.
We're doing the right thing to help some people who can't help themselves. Gentlemen, we worked hard, we've trained hard, we've done the right thing, and we're ready to go. There's a divine power that's responsible for what happens right now. Let's do our jobs, let's do what we've been trained to do, and not worry about the outcome. Roger? All right.
Mighty Oaks has become, a national organization. We do international work. This year, we'll have 35 weeks of programs. That is about 800 people that will come through one of those week-long programs, which is absolutely incredible. We've gone from 1 location to 5 locations across the country. We're now even taking what we've learned in our programs and helping foreign militaries who are having the same struggles we're having. There are a lot of folks that need help, and we have the opportunity to help them.
You've said it before. One guy fell on his face, somebody picked me up, and I turned around and helped the next guy, and then that guy did the same thing. We've been doing the same thing for 12 years now, and it's been an amazing journey. And from my experience at 12 years at Mighty Oaks, one thing I know is that someone's life was saved because you running those miles. Someone's family was restored because you run those miles. And most importantly, someone's eternity will be changed forever because you ran those miles.
Thank you all. A lot of work, we got it done.
I'm strong because of how much I love other people. Like, I'm strong because I don't quit. There's pretty much nothing that I do ever alone. That's all me, 100% all the time.
Besides myself, I've seen some guys in some of the deepest, darkest just places, right? And then I know them now, and I see what they're doing now, and just how their legacies have changed. It's pretty awesome.
It still comes back, but I know what to do with it now. I know that it doesn't have to rule my life. It doesn't have to be a deciding factor on how I act today. I can put it in its place. I can feel it now, and I can understand it.
For those people that are hurt, those people that are depressed or experiencing trauma, to whatever extent that they're hurting, that they're depressed, the inverse is also true. It is to that extent that they have the capacity to feel love, joy, peace.
I don't know what's around the corner, and I don't know it's perfect, but at least now I know how to deal with it opposed to before.
I still deal with my conditions on a regular basis, but I'm much stronger in how to manage them because of the resources, because of the people I surround myself with. mainly because of my willingness to be open about what my conditions are so that people can help me.